Alright, I've made some of the changes and that we talked about, and I've now also expanded this by 2 feet to the west. This is where we were when we last dropped off, and I now know that you want a group of 3 skylights and then the 2 and the 2, so that's what we're showing here. And this is where it expands by 2 feet to the west. And the island expands with it. I just add that same footage because I felt we were clear enough everywhere. So I added that same footage into the island itself. I also added the bow window here. And by the way, if I've never mentioned it, these numbers down in the corner is what you can refer to various permutations and different things. Those numbers are the referral numbers or the file numbers. These are just the island up here, obviously. In this final bit here, I was just trying to see if I could get some sort of better arrangement that interfaces with this high ceiling and the flat ceiling here, and wanted to see if there was an alternative kitchen plan with our existing appliances that we're working with and the other objectives to work some sort of other plan on this north wall. And so this is what I've done, and I've made these cabinets that are flanking the range hood, and I know we talked about this, you have 30 now, but I've made these 24 piece so that these cabinets over are just single hinge. That's one advantage of staying below 24 below, is that the door will just have a single hinge that hinges this way. And what I used that space for is to create another countertop here, because there's going to be some countertop appliances that have to be considered that you're not going to be wanting to sit on the island. So I just created this, plus I wanted something besides this whole bank of cabinets for these people. I wanted some other depth to this view here. And so this, this has a nice little countertop that various appliances can be put on and people could actually work at this counter. And I guess you're going to have to plan this yourself probably eventually with the kitchen planner, but probably it's better to have this range hood up here, sad to say. And I have not modeled that with putting everything up here, because once the refrigerator's down here, there's not really sensible room for a window there. But if we think that if you ultimately think that a window ought to be worked in, we could try something like that down here. Perhaps something more narrow, or maybe a pair of narrow ones with some of that extra 2 feet that we picked up here. Now there are a few other things that I did in these plans. In spite of this being the plan that's shown, the other plan works with any of these different other additional alterations that I looked at. One of them is I thought the skylights should come upstream a little bit now with this roof being longer here. So I've moved them up 2 feet, and when I look at some of these photographs, I think I'd almost probably only move them up 18 inches. I think they could be a little bit lower on that ceiling. And then this final one you'll see in the photographs is where I remove this beam altogether. In attempting to do something decent with this corner here, I remove this beam altogether, or remove this wall altogether, and use a flush beam, 3 LVLs up in this ceiling. And I also show you a view with that same thing happening down here, so that both of these ceilings flow all the way through like this. And it looks really nice. This one's a piece of cake. This, we've either got to put a drop beam of 2 9¼ LVLs, or we put 3 7¼ LVLs flush up in the ceiling with joist hangers on these joists. Now I'll show you these changes at this north wall with the expansion. This is the last thing we were working with here, and then this is adding that 2 feet. And you can see the pitch is 2.7, and you can see here is where I had the skylights still flowing up through that soffit down here, and I moved them upstream some eventually. But first I horsed around with this facade here, or this wall here, and that was an early alternative they came with, and it really didn't look too good at all, and I didn't even develop any photos of it. And so that was the next and the only other horsing around I did with that wall. Create this counter space, workspace, and window area here. And in the finished photos I believe I'm going to be showing, I've narrowed that up a little bit because this actually interfaces better with the soffit work here. And then there's sliding that skylight up 2 feet. And so keep an eye on that in these photos coming up, whether you agree that maybe 1'9" might be better. And this just shows that flush beam up in there, these 3 LVLs. Now these photos will step through those same kinds of variations. This was where we were at DRM4 at the last film yesterday. It's the bay window, and this is adding the 2 feet and adding the bow window, and you can really see how these skylights are working here. And you may like this way. This is as long a skylight as I can get from Velux, but you may like this way, but you'll see in some of these other photos maybe not. And then this was the only other viable plan that I drew. Remember, I didn't like this interface up here. It's okay, but I didn't like that. And I don't know if this gives you a more workable kitchen or not. I'm trying to think of, different things you're going to be always getting in the refrigerator. So we definitely have a sink down here if the refrigerator's down here. And yeah, just creating different work zones. This is probably a preferable plan, but I would have liked to get some light, some glass in there. But it is what it is. This is the 2 different islands, the H, or the big square rectangle, and the one with the curve. And this is where the skylights go upstream 2 feet. And then from the dining room door, the same changes, same variations. This was adding that window in here with the range going down here, and that was moving the skylights. And then from this corner of the kitchen, we talked about this wall here, and talked about eliminating it. I think it looks okay from this angle here. I'm not crazy about it from over at this corner because of this, mainly because of this bit here. But I did want to look at a few other things. This is moving the skylights up. You can see them in this one too. So you can see maybe they don't have to go up the whole 2 feet. As I said, maybe something closer to 18 inches. Even though 2 feet still left about 2 feet here and about 2.5 feet up here, still think it might be better further this way. But back to that corner at the wall, this is the little move where we put that flush beam in and eliminate that header altogether and have that flow through like that. And the natural next step is to eliminate this one down here. Is even easier. This is just a couple 2x8s. Maybe those are LVLs too, but it's only that 3 feet. But both of those could be done where that flows like this, and I really like the look of this from this other end. And here are the view of those changes from that end. This was at the open shelves, but I already talked with Rob, and he preferred the cabinetry like this. And this was the cabinetry with that wall dropped off, and that's not bad really. And what I don't show is a permutation with us actually putting a casing around this door here, putting a little stub here, so we have casing around that door there and here. But one thing with that little stub wall, there is a nice place there to put all of the switches. They're going to be required. We have a bank of switches here and a bank of switches here, coming in from the hall and coming in from the dining room. So we will have to have some place to put switches for coming in for this way. So it's either going to be on that stub wall or in the dining room a little bit. Maybe it's on the backsplash of this, perhaps. The different islands, the big square or rectangle, and then the curve. And here's the skylights going upstream. And there, or that is that wall, or that header going away over here. And then on this end, just the way it joins this end of the house with that end is, I think, is very nice. But I think that is it for the changes on that. On that first floor. Now there's a few introductory things I want to cover in this film for the second floor. First, since I had to size this member, and as I said, two 9 1/4 LVLs built into that wall, or 3 7 1/4 LVLs recessed up in the floor like this. But since I had to design that, I had to make sure I designed this joist here as well. And I designed this, or looked at this, and this was the maximum I could go, 6'4", where we actually had closeting or bedroom space. And of course, even at 6'4", this side of that wall, this wall is only 3'8" high. Anyway, but I did want to check that, and then I'll try to remember the other things I wanted to cover here as far as this goes. So with that design, the way I designed it, all of this blue area is 40 pounds per square foot for bath and hallway. The way I designed beam A, the big beam down here, and the way I designed these joists here and the other joists and these ones here, this is all 30 pounds per square foot loading. So that's your maximum area without putting an addition out here. That's your maximum area for us to use. And some of that, obviously that wall is already there, so probably that is the reasonable extent of our bedroom and bathroom combination and access to it. Now one thing I did, if this eventually goes to a pellet stove, I looked at these pellet stoves somewhere. Here it is, and it looks like those are 4-inch pipe. That's a 4-inch pipe, and this is like a 3-inch pipe. And so ostensibly a person could, if that gets converted to a pellet stove and a person was inclined to, and this really only applies if you were going to add an addition out this front end for a bigger space up here. This red diagram here shows a potential location of that, where that chimney to come down and that be converted. I know what I wanted to mention. I do think now that it's probably possible to do these as two separate projects, the first floor and the second floor, if we can get these joists in here without too much of a headache. And so this is the existing floor plan now, more or less, as close as I can get. And there's that diagram of that thing, because I wanted to make this, I wanted to try to improve this entry to that bedroom. And obviously the best thing would just come straight in. But I didn't really see a scenario where, even if this is all the way back here, that helps us a lot. I could see you coming straight in this way, and then coming into your bedroom this way is a possibility, I suppose. But leaving that alone for now, and assuming we're going to use this here, I would say that this is all going to be hallway, getting you into that bathroom. And so the decision you have to make at that point is, do you want a door coming from the bathroom into the hallway? I assume you don't want to have to go through the bath like this to get to the bedroom. So that's one of the questions, though, is do we want an exit from this bath into the hall? And so if this is the maximum we can go on bath, I mean, according to what I designed that beam A for with this 40 pound per square foot loading, this would be the max for the bath, and I think that's going to be more than enough. That is pretty much the area of this pink stuff, is pretty much the area of that front bedroom, like that. And so this bedroom is probably not going to be as large as that bedroom, because the bathroom's going to take probably more than this area. So I just want to cover that ground with you. And then the final thing, I believe the final thing with regard to the second floor before I get rolling, is that because these joists run that way, the toilet will have to stay somewhere down on this wall. I mean, the least expensive way is to keep this toilet somewhere down on this wall. It can go anywhere along here. It could probably even rotate like that without a problem. And this also means that if there's a big walk-in shower, because those require a 2-inch drain, and we can't drill these for a 2-inch drain, these 8-inch members. So the shower has to be down in this corner as well. So that's the two go-in precepts, is that the shower is down here and the toilet is somewhere down here. And so the question to you is, do we want a door straight out of that bathroom, or is it okay to just have a door into the bathroom and then you go this way? And I'm not saying, I don't know where exactly this door ends up on this, into this bathroom. These windows aren't here. These skylights are here. So if those are not going to be changed out, it's going to be a very nice light bathroom. We won't really have to have any windows on the wall, really, if we just push that out to this side of that skylight. So that is another question to answer. Were those skylights, was that roof going to be replaced? Were those skylights newer and just staying right where they are? I know the window will move more than likely, but if those skylights are going to stay, then we will probably have to bring our bathroom wall out to this side of them. So that's a few things to think about in that vein. And that is all for now, because I want to get this over to you. So hopefully I will see you soon, and thanks very much, and I'll continue along here, but I'm sure I'll have a short conversation with you first.